Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. And tonight, I just want to briefly share with you a word of God that I've been meditating over throughout the week. Throughout the week, I've been reading about the life of Joseph, and in his life, there are so many valuable points that we can learn, that we can pick up from, and that we can apply to our lives. So I just want to briefly talk about it and, some lessons that I learned. So the life of Joseph, it really teaches us about the value of preparation and also the difficulty of preparation. We as believers, we always cry out to God, oh God, let your will be done in my life. God, I want what you want for me. God, prepare me for that wonderful plan that you have for me. But then we don't realize that the preparation is actually a difficult thing. It's actually a training ground. And training is not always easy. So let's take Joseph, for example. Joseph was a young man living in his father's house. His father was a rich man. He had 11 brothers, and he was the 11th child, 11th son, basically. So, all his other brothers, except for one of them, they're all from different mothers, basically. So there's only one other brother that's like his full brother, but all of the other brothers are like his half siblings. So that already creates some kind of tension because it's kind of like sibling rivalry. And then this boy gets up one day and he's starting to talk about, I had a dream and all of you guys were bowing down to me, including my father. And I had a dream and the sun and the moon and the stars were bowing down to me and all this and all that. And as this boy is doing this, he does not realize that the brothers already don't like him. And he's causing them to not like him even more. He's aggravating that. And so what happens one day is that, so the brothers are out like tending sheep, and the father sends Joseph to them to go and find them. And then these guys plan to kill Joseph. Of course, by God's grace, it didn't happen, but they plan to get rid of him with this in mind, saying that, let's kill him and see what becomes of his dreams. And then these guys, instead of killing him, he gets, they sell him over to some slave traders. And by selling him, they actually, were selling him to his destiny. They were basically sending him to his destiny. And so, after, being sold as a slave, he ends up in Potiphar's house. And in Potiphar's house, he gets accused. He ends up in prison. And then he's in prison for some time. And then he gets, promoted to Pharaoh's palace to rule over Egypt. Basically second under Pharaoh. But, what this all teaches us is that the process of preparation is not always easy. The path to our dreams and what God has for us is not always a straight, smooth path. Sometimes it gets rough. But one thing that we have to know and reassure ourselves of is that sometimes what the devil or the enemy has meant for evil, God will use it for good. So even though maybe your enemies think that they're fighting against you, they are killing you, they are destroying you, God is able to turn that same ugly circumstance and He's able to use it to prepare you for that future and that dream that He has for you. God has a plan for you, but the preparation may not always look easy. It may not always be smooth. It may not always be fun and enjoyable. But in the end, it will produce a character and a quality that will help you to maintain the gift that He has given to you. The worst thing ever would be that God would give you a very amazing, great gift, but then you wouldn't know how to maintain it. And then you would lose it because you don't have the quality nor the skills. You don't have the character to be able to keep that gift. One thing I love so much about the life of Joseph is that it says in the Bible that in Potiphar's house, God was with him. In the prison, God's presence was with him. So in all the phases of Joseph's life, God was with him. And in those times that he felt so lonely, so, afraid, so isolated and secluded from his loved ones, when he felt all alone, at least he had the presence of God with him. He learned to hang on to God and to keep close to him. And so when he reached the palace and he reached the highest point, he was not going to let go of that same God he had been hanging on to his whole life. So my question to you is, in this moment of your beginning and your preparation and your humble stages, are you hanging on to God? Because that is when, that is what will determine if you will hang on to him in the highest place. To the person who handles well the little things, God will give them bigger things because he knows that he can entrust them with them. So are you being faithful in your little? Are you being faithful in this time? Tonight, I just want to encourage you. God is taking each and every one of us through a preparation stage. He's preparing all of us. It's not easy. But I guarantee you, if his presence is with you, he will take you to the very end. He will never abandon you in that prison. He will never abandon you in that low place that you are in. But know this, you can never make it through life without his presence. You can never make it without his presence. God was with Joseph. Is God with you? Do you have his presence? His presence is the only thing that will take you to the end.